Welcome to Remotely Interested, the podcast where we talk remote working, work life in general, and top tips to successfully work from anywhere. Today we'll hear from Jennifer and Gary, the husband and wife founders of Earth Explorer Pro. Hailing from England, Jennifer and Gary have had a very varied work history. Jennifer and I actually met 12 years ago while working at an architecture studio in central London. While her career has spanned art, design, finance and startups, Gary spent over 15 years as a head chef at one of London's most iconic and prestigious fine dining institutions. Together, they are now embarking on a new adventure which will take them all over the world. Here we chat just days before they jetted off to India. You'll note that this episode is free-flowing and full of fascinating and sometimes surprising insights. I hope you enjoy listening as much as we enjoyed chatting. Jennifer, Gary, welcome to the Remotely Interested podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for being here. As will become apparent during this episode, I know you've got a lot of things to prepare right now. So thank you so much for taking this time out to chat to me and to share your experiences and your projects with those who are listening. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's start at the beginning, because I know that you both obviously have your own separate careers that you've developed over the years. So perhaps in turn, one by one, can you please tell me and the listeners about what your working life has looked like up until this point, please?
Okay. So I have been a professional chef since 2004. I started my career at the Ivy when there was just one. And it was,
wow.
And then I worked in the private dining room there for many years, and then I moved to Sexy Fish, and I run the private dining room there up until 3 days ago, and now it's a new start.
Okay, amazing. So all very fresh. Was that something you'd always wanted to do, to work as a chef?
To be honest, I wasn't sure, like many people, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. So, and this is a career opportunity that was literally presented to me. The thing about chefing that kept me there is, one, I was good at it, and two, it allowed me to travel the world. If you, let's say, psychiatrist, if you was to take a year off, that would be very bad for you. For your career and also for your patients. Whereas if you're a chef and you leave and you're a sous chef, you come back, you're still a sous chef. And so Caprice has allowed me to take years out at a time and travel the world. And that's obviously the foundations of what it is that we're doing now.
Right. Very interesting. Okay, so you've already had that experience of taking time out of a kind of a traditional work schedule to go off and travel and have a free, well, make the most of your free time, I guess.
Yeah, well, life is very short. A lot of people, they work in jobs that they don't like. So I've enjoyed being a chef, but it has been a means to an end. It's allowed me to see over 1/3 of all the countries on the planet.
Fantastic. Wow. That's certainly a surprise to me, and I think that would come as a surprise to a lot of people that being a chef could offer you that kind of flexibility. But as you said, it's probably more the fact that you were working for such a prestigious organization perhaps allowed you to be given those opportunities.
Yeah, well, the truth of the matter is that good chefs are thin on the ground. They're very hard to find. And I've really enjoyed it. Caprice is a wonderful company. And and I've managed to cook for a lot of the people that have entertained me throughout the years.
I can imagine, yeah. Amazing. Okay. Thanks, Gary. What about you, Jennifer?
Goodness. So if I start from the beginning, of how I ended up in London and then my career kind of expanded. So I graduated in 2009 from a fine art degree, and I was told by the point I was graduating by one of my tutors that there were no funding, or funding was being pulled out from the arts. So I'd better get a normal job rather than going back into the arts. So I thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do? So I ended up going back to Kent for a little while and then trying to get a job in the Golden Land, which I called London. And I was doing door-to-door sales. And it was quite terrifying, actually, because I didn't know what to do. And I just got plunked into door-to-door selling. And you can imagine different kinds of personalities that would open the door.
Yeah.
That lasted around 3 days because I was told I wasn't going to be paid.
Oh.
And I had no money. So I just thought, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to Kent. I'm going to go try and see if I can get a job back home, which was Devon. So I applied for an arts job part-time, which I ended up getting. And then I moved there, and then I ended up getting a bar job in the nighttime. But I still had the dream to travel to London and move to London. So because of the arts, I had a big interest in fashion. So I would get the Vogue magazine and go at the back of Vogue and apply 200 or 300 jobs at a time. My emailing skills back at that time weren't great. I was using a dongle to, get on the internet and then try and apply with many no's. I loved the art job meanwhile, but sadly the founder of the art shop actually died. And it was an amazing art shop, but they wanted to sell it basically. So I thought, okay, I need to continue to live this dream of getting into London. And out of I think it's around 500 emails I sent, I had about three like saying to me, let's come in for an interview. And then it was one out of the three. It was a optician in the King's Road in Chelsea that said, come and see us. I interviewed there and I got the job. And that's how it started. And they said to me, oh, it's only a temp job. It's only going to be because it's maternity cover.
Yeah.
And then it's from there that I thought, okay, I leapt into the world of, I went back to the arts after that. And then I thought, oh, I really want to work in architecture because just before fine art, I did 2 years of architecture. But I was told after 2 years, I was too creative for architecture. One of my tutors, he said, oh, I think you'd like fine art more. But it's always, I think the two work in parallel. That's creative for me, is
Sure.
creative.
Yeah.
So I thought, I really want to work for an architect firm. Went down the path of architecture for a little bit. And then I went back to fashion. I worked for a hat designer. And from the hat designer, I then went on to my first office role, which was in, again, going back to fashion, Radley handbags. And then from there, it just grew to the point where I thought, oh, I really want to work in finance. But I had 20 recruiters outrightly saying no to me because they said to me, you've got the creative degree, you've got no experience. And they said, you're going to find it really boring. But the 21st recruiter said to me, I'm going to put you in a temp role in a private equity firm and see how you get on. And then that's how it flourished because the feedback, it's so different from creative. It's very quiet. People are very introverted, but the mindset's amazing. I think you can find amazing mindsets anywhere, but it was a different experience for me. And I thought, let me try. And then that led me on to working for a government bank. And then after that, I went on to a startup, a different mindset entirely. And things go from steady to a million miles an hour because you're always thinking. And I was very grateful to the founder and CEO who I learned from and I was sitting right next to. So you see everything. And then after 4.5 years there, I thought, I want a new challenge. And then that's what led me to my most current role, which was MasterCard. So very different again, big corporate. But the thing that ties it all together really is it's all about relationships for me, and so through what we're doing now, it's really exciting, but it's also, again, going out there and reaching out to people and, building that relationship again with other kind of people and founders. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. And I guess the 21st recruiter is to be praised for thinking
yes,
outside of the box, not insisting as the others did, that, oh, because you're from an arts background, that you couldn't flourish in a financial sector context. And you said it's about the relationship. So, I mean,
It
did you
is.
find that you were bored, or did you actually enjoy working in that sector?
No, I think the best way I can describe it is when you go into something that you don't know anything about, that you have an interest in, you work really hard to ask the right questions and to kind of understand it. Because I think you can put anyone anywhere. It's not skills, because skills can be taught, but it's the personality and the why. I always say to people, always ask the why. It's really important that you understand it for yourself. We live in a world now where AI, we use it, most people use it. I think really to get an understanding for what you want to do, you have to ask yourself and also ask lots of questions to understand that it's the right thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can add, based on the stories that she's told me about work, I think her being from a creative background has really added something to the workplaces.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that's a big deal.
Mm.
Yeah.
The two can intertwine.
Yeah, I really agree with that. The skills and the qualities that you bring from life experience and work experience can inform positively any future endeavor. So yeah,
Yeah.
we certainly aren't just all categorized according to arts or finance or cuisine. It's a
Yeah.
whole combination of skills and experiences that are really valuable. So yeah, really interesting. Okay, so now let's hear all about your current project. What's next for you both?
So we are going to travel and teach people. In today's society, people don't have a lot of money. It's not a secret. The amount of money that people have that's expendable is decreasing.
Mm.
And I know how these travel companies are taking money from people because they are scared, or they just don't know how. And so I want to enable people these skills to be able to travel themselves without losing thousands of pounds. That is unnecessary. It's unnecessary to a company. Is an example. A company that will remain anonymous, that I've travelled with myself,
Yeah.
offered a trip. I took Jen to Borneo, and Borneo sounds very scary for a lot of people. And this company offers a trip to Borneo for 10 days, and it costs £2,000 per person, all inclusive, right? Except for not flights, neither. And I took Jen on a very similar itinerary, and £50 a day was plenty. So I understand the company needs to make money, but that's a big margin.
That is
And
insane.
yes, yeah. I mean, one of the places was a sunbath sanctuary,
Yeah.
and this was a day's trip, and the entrance into there's less than £5. How do you get that big figure? And because people want to see it, but they're very scared. And Borneo is a very easy place to travel around on the Malaysian side anyway. So I want to help people understand how can they live their travel dreams without breaking the bank. And I've got plenty of skill, and I'm starting in India because a lot of people that want to go in India, that movie Eat, Pray, Love has a lot to answer for.
Yes.
And a lot of people want to go over there. And so we want to, I've already spent 5.5 years in India traveling across it. So I want to show people the realities and what it is that you need to know, particularly with India travel, where we're starting. It annoys me that everybody always says how terrible it is, and they go and film like the rubbish in the rivers and it's dirty and all the rest of that. Okay, if you was to go to this estate in Canary Wharf and go and film the bin shoots and then complain that there's a lot of rubbish,
Exactly.
yes. And because people are just doing it to get clicks, it's not the reality. So, and I want to show people the reality, and also because I spent so much time there, I can go to places that people would find it very difficult to reach themselves, and I can show people cultures and customs and wildlife that I've never seen before. Hopefully it makes people that little bit more happy, because people in this city are not especially happy. But when I travel, I've always picked up tourists that are really scared somewhere or other across the world. And I sort of go, oh, just come with me. And then I show somebody, and it gives me a huge sense of satisfaction. But now I have the internet, because when I was a little boy and I first started traveling, there was no internet. I'm that old. And we used to write letters, and you'd send them off, and they would arrive long after you come home, and that was your correspondence. And then people would seriously doubt that you ever did that, and you had the Lonely Planet or nothing.
Yeah.
And now today we've got the internet, but the problem is with that, these opinions are not regulated, and they just say, well, you know, particularly with India, it just annoys me. So that I know what they're showing isn't true. They're just showing the really terrible parts and saying, oh, look, it's terrible. Yeah. So that's the main goal, is to enable people to live their travel dreams, because everybody wants to travel, but without breaking the bank, because these people are like snakes. They really are. I really want to disrupt that industry, because I can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting, because at the same time, when he was talking about travel, I said to him, oh, you know, we're living in this kind of challenging time, especially in the West with cost of living and everything. And I said, you know, sometimes people can't afford to travel, or they want to explore the UK within. So why don't we pick a project where we can follow a journey? So we both came to the conclusion of, let's film the Thames. So it took us to places where we didn't even know, and I'd never heard of before. But before we came to that concept, we just said, you know, we have to, because we wanted to kind of document our travels as well alongside the business. So we just said, you know, Gary already kind of said, okay, I've got a camera. He already trained in it, but he said, I want you to train in it. And so we're both filming. But now I can genuinely say, when I first started, Mary, I was so, pants. I was so rubbish, you know, and it was practice upon practice upon practice, because you're holding this enormous camera with like the formal term of it is called a gimbal, which is basically like a stick that holds a camera and it can move it around, and panoramic views and everything, or a tripod. But people, you know, I'm going to be honest, when I first started doing it, I just thought, oh, you just put your hand on it and it follows you. And it's not like that. No. There's a lot of technicalities in it. And Gary said, you know, you really have to put the time in. And our content now versus when we first filmed was really, awful, wasn't it? But you learn from that.
It was a good project, because oddly it's not been done before, the Thames River from start to finish. People have tried it. Tony Robinson did an attempt on it. I love Tony Robinson, don't get me wrong, but the series didn't make any sense. He bounced from place to place and covered very uninteresting things like lights under a bridge or something. It's a fascinating river.
Yeah.
So it's been quite an interesting project. And I will tell you though, people are travelling in England because they think it's cheaper because you don't have to get an aeroplane. That's not true.
Yeah.
In all fairness, it's cheaper for you to get a plane to Marrakesh and spend 2 weeks there. That is definitely true.
But yeah, we wanted to highlight the beauty of England. I think in the future we might focus more on that as well as abroad. But I just think we wanted to also show our audience that you can go out there and explore nature, because it's something that's right on your doorstep. And you know, the Thames River goes all the way through to the middle of England, which is Gloucestershire. And we just said, you know, we have to explore this. And where does it start? Why is it there? What happened? And it's such an iconic river, and the history. I mean, I learned a lot when we were filming, and we met so many interesting people along the way that told us certain things about the villages that we went past. And it's hilarious because when we first went there to find the source of the Thames, it's not a river, it's a plaque. And you have to cross fields, and you're just like, are we going the right way? You know, even with Google Maps, we're just going, are we going? And then we find it, and then there's like a a circle of stones and a plaque.
So,
you know.
So I think the most important thing to add is this was always been my idea to do this, but Jen has now this enormous creative business brain and can find a way to scale it and make it something practical that we could earn a living from, a good living from, if we do it correctly. So this is where we are now.
Okay. You're saying so many interesting things. I've got so many different things going off in my head to ask you. I think I'm going to have to chop this up a bit just to make sense, because I'd like to go back to this idea of fear, the fear that these companies are instilling in people, not feeling able to go into the unknown, even in a small way. It might sound really silly, but a couple of weeks ago with my husband, we went to Rome with my parents-in-law, my in-laws. And they'd booked low-cost flights via an agency. And we needed to make a few changes. And funnily enough, low-cost flights will allow you, as I'm sure you know, to make adjustments to the times. They will charge you more, but you can adjust the times or even the destinations of flights to a certain extent to not lose everything. But because my in-laws had booked via an agency, it wasn't possible. It's advertised as if it's possible, but each company then basically makes a decision to be as difficult as possible and blames the other one, or please see with the airline company. Oh no, please see with the agency. And so I think it's in line with what you're saying, Gary, that even for simple kind of European flights, agencies are capitalizing on the fear of perhaps those of a certain generation who are a little bit frightened of the technology, and they're just taking advantage.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get out what you put in. A little bit of research doesn't go, it goes a long way. And as well, if you take a package, then say this package, I'm going to go back to the one in Borneo to make it clear, is from a town called Kota Kinabalu to Sandakan, and you go to all these tourist sites. Now, the problem is with that is if you like somewhere, you're not staying another day. You've got no agency over where it is that you're going. You can't do anything that's not on the itinerary. So it takes away your freedom of that as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they take one of these super expensive tours for what they are, they go there and go, oh, it's not that bad, actually. Because that's how it was for me. My first ever tour that I took was with the same company, because of only has to remain anonymous. It's a huge company. And they took me to Thailand. And I learned at the end of the trip, it just doesn't have to cost much. And that's what sent me off on this sort of mission to learn these skills myself. And I've wasted hundreds and hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds on learning these skills. And I put myself in a lot of danger as well. And this is stuff that you don't have to do. So it's better to learn from someone else's mistakes if you can. So my idea is to push that onto an audience so then they are better equipped to get what they want. Because your time and your money, your time is your most expensive asset because you don't get any more of it. And your money, you work very hard to get that. So it's incredibly important that you make the most of your experience. So they think if they hedge all their money into one place, then they will be able to see the most amount of stuff, and that's rarely the case. So this is I really want to disrupt that industry because I just see how much they exploit people's fear.
And funnily enough, we lived in Thailand for 4 years, and the first time we went there, at first we weren't even considering moving there actually, but just on a holiday. It was when we were still living in London. And we couldn't believe that the 2 weeks that we were there, eating out, taking taxis, staying in hotels, we spent less than if we'd been back home shopping at Tesco's and just commuting back and forth to work. We could not believe it. So you're right. When you find a way to do things independently, the costs can really be very, very low.
I mean, people are just setting fire to their money. And I had a friend said to me a little while ago, they said, oh, as a woman, is it safe in Thailand? Yes, it is. But she still wants to take an all-inclusive package to a particular island and stay there. And I just think it's a beautiful country, and it's Koh Samui that she wants to go to. And if you've been to, you lived in Thailand,
I
you
lived
know that.
there. I lived there for a year, Koh Samui.
y-
Yeah, wonderful
Yeah,
place.
there's a lot of pretty places around there, but she's not. So I want to remove that fear to allow people to be able to do this stuff. And the best way to do that these days is with content.
Yeah, excellent. We'll come back to that in a second. I just don't want to skip over your project about the Thames. So, how long did that take you from beginning to end?
To be honest,
Yeah.
because we're both very terrible. It took 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Okay.
2 years.
It's a
Because
long river. It's a long river.
It's a long river.
well, no, because we did that. Because I initially wanted to throw myself into the deep end, and I went. Was it last year or the year before?
The year before.
I went to Indonesia for 4 months,
Mm.
and I didn't know what I was doing, and I got some great stock footage. I was unable to build a coherent plot, and with the rise in action and the climax and everything like that, I didn't manage to do that. I've got some lovely stock footage, but that's a very expensive mistake. So we decided the Thames is right here. Let's start filming.
Mm.
Right.
And because it doesn't cost much on a train to get down there for the day.
Yeah.
And also we live in London. So the London stuff but it's a real pain filming in the UK because we have so many laws.
Oh.
So many laws. Yes, if you take a camera on a tripod and put it down in Trafalgar Square, you are breaking the law.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it with your phone because it's not monetizable. But if you do it with a tripod, you need to seek permission. But we've been very lucky because I learned this early on, and I learned that I needed permission, and lots of people helped us in a very big way.
Good, yeah.
Like Kew Gardens, they gave us entrance before anybody turned up, and for free, and they gave us 2-day pass for free. And they've got huge projects like Brighton and Downton and all kinds of big high-end movies have used this as a location.
Yeah.
And they looked at our little tiny project and they said, sure, here's 2 days passes for free.
That is amazing.
And the Royal Observatory, they let us film. The Queen's House let us film. The London Wetland Sanctuary, they let us film. And we've got lots of permissions, and people was very helpful with our project. I think they was just quite intrigued because it's weird because all these big celebrities have done all these different rivers from beginning to end. No one's done the Thames, even though it runs right through the heart of our country, and only Tony Robinson. And like I said, it could have been done a lot better. Whereas our one starts at the beginning and finishes at the end,
which is exactly what you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like I think the biggest, I mean, I learned so many things, not only filming, but the biggest historical fact I learned when we were filming was you never, sorry to sound crass, but you never think about where the sewage system goes or anything like that. And I just, we went through to a place called Crossness, which is located in Abbey Wood in London. So a chap called an inventor, did you say?
Joseph Bazalgette.
Yeah, Joseph Bazalgette created the sewer system. And because people were contracting cholera in London, millions of people were dying. And the story of that and how he invented that is extraordinary. And when we went to Crossness for the first time, the best place I can describe it, or how I could describe it, it looks like a palace, a Victorian palace. And when I tell people about it, they just go, where is that? So they see these photos on Google Images and they just go, oh my God, that's amazing. I mean, when we first went there, you see it's all run by volunteers. So and it tells you the story of the sewage system and what was happening in London at that time. And I was asking so many questions, so much so that we went back to film the second time and I ended up volunteering. I ended up signing up to become a volunteer.
Nice.
For them. So there was too much of a calling for me not to try and do something to help them, and they're going through this big museum accreditation right now. But it was just an extraordinary way of seeing history and interacting with it, and also understanding from the back end of how do you run a museum? How do you run, and it's all volunteer led. How do you learn about the history of this place that saved millions of lives? And I always say he's a big unsung hero within the UK historical facts. I think we need to talk about it more because, without him, we wouldn't be where we are in terms of like, health and safety wise, water, just so many things. It's extraordinary. And I don't think London would have been as built up as it is today without him, really.
I will add for your viewers, if Crossness is one of London's most beautiful buildings, it's up there with St Paul's or the Royal Observatory, and no one's heard of it.
No,
Google
I
it.
haven't.
And it's a sewage plant. If you Google it, just go there and support it. They're very nice there. We cover it well.
We'll definitely put the link in the show notes for that, and I'll be having a look later.
I was absolutely shocked when I come in. I just because you don't expect it from a sewage plant, but it is a cathedral.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Like it looks like a rundown place from the outside, but when you go in, it's a completely different story.
And it still has the world's largest functioning steam engines.
Yes.
Is the Thames project finished now? Have you published that somewhere?
We are currently finishing it as we are packing the house and getting ready to leave.
But our first episode was released last week.
Okay.
We're releasing the second episode this week on Thursday. So we did from the start of the Thames last week, and so we're going through, second episode on Thursday this week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so a total of how many episodes?
There's 7 episodes. I was going for 9, but I just ran out of time because to engage audiences and make everything cinematic, you have to change your footage every few seconds. As I said, we were very, very bad when we started. I think I probably went to Greenwich probably 50 times to forget it the way that I did. And it's interesting because when the audience, they look at it, they just think, oh, you did that in one take. You didn't.
No. Because we don't have when you're outside in the public and you're filming, something in like embankment, say what is it called? The Cleopatra's Needle, for example. Yeah. And you're filming along the Thames, you have literally hundreds of tourists coming and taking photos. So you have to be really patient because you don't have that film. You can't gate things off. You have to wait and have it's taught me patience, or it's teaching me patience at least. You have to really be so patient and get it at the right time. One of our things that we'd have to get up really early, like 5 a.m, to go to parts of London where it was absolutely dead at that time to get the shot. Greenwich, we did at 6 a.m, didn't we? Greenwich Market, we went there, one. And it was just us going through little tiny kind of walkways with the shops. And we were like, okay, no one's here. Let's film,
The shots are beautiful, but it involved a lot of pain waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going out and filming. But it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
It's worth it,
it's worth it. You get out what you put in.
Yeah.
The standard of what you're producing must be really high because you've given.
Well, I think it is. I mean, considering it's my first attempt, and I'm a bit of a obsessive perfectionist, which slows things down a lot.
No, but it's great. We have this very dynamic relationship where we're obviously husband and wife, but when we work together, I learn so much from him because I think he's got a lot of resilience. I think we both do, but I think because of his job, working in those, I would say, very tough environments, head chef of that, there's lots of stress, lots of pressure, whereas he can just juggle 1 million things in one go, and he's very kind of organized in that way. I'm the calming force, I'd say, on that, and the kind of go, okay, let's just have 5 minutes, and then we kind of just dot things out, and then if there's any kind of technical things or company things that he doesn't know, we go through it together so I can teach him. So it's a case of us working together. But what's really good, I worked in startups, but we've never launched one ourselves. But what's really brilliant about this is that he's teaching me. So I think we're teaching each other lots of things, because I just think actually we wake up and we talk about the business all the time. It doesn't stop, because of course we have our own time together. I think that's really critical if you're having a relationship with someone. But when we're making this on our own, we have to work really hard to make it happen. So we are working, 12-hour, 15-hour days to go, okay, we've got to get this done, this done, this done. And I think unless you have that drive and that passion, I don't know if it works, because I think people think, startups people have different ideas of what a startup is.
Yeah.
And they think, if you're going to go and just become an influencer, you can just, for example, it's really easy, but actually it's not, because you have to get the right content. And we live in a world now, going back to the earlier conversation of AI and content being thrown at us so much that we lose attention span. And so we have to have things that make it cinematic. So we had to say to ourselves, okay, when we're filming these scenes, like what is it that how do we engage viewers? How do we keep that longevity of people coming back to us? So there was just so much research into so many different things. And, SEO, I started learning how to build a website because of Gary. And then it was just so vast. But I'm always the one, I think we always like poke things and go, how does that work? Sometimes he kind of doesn't understand, and I go, okay, let me break it down for you. And it's the other way around for you, right? And you kind of, when I'm filming, you just say, try this, or what about this?
Well, she's good at all the stuff that I'm not good at, which is quite a lot. And I'm good at all the stuff that she's not good at, which is less.
That's the right answer, I think, Gary. Yeah.
I don't want to be sleeping outside.
Excellent. But it sounds like you're both bringing an equal level of passion to this project, but different skills because of your different work backgrounds, etc. So it sounds like it gels perfectly. And it's not just a job. This is something you're passionate about as well.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to help other people. And of
Yeah.
course, it's something you're interested in. Yeah. Did you meet at work out of interest? Did your paths cross in a work context?
No,
No.
we met online.
Oh, okay.
It was actually my first attempt at online dating, so
100% success record.
yeah, I had no bad dates. Yeah, I never tried it before. I thought everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
Might not give it a go. 3 years later, we're married.
Wonderful. That's so great. Okay, well, you guys are amazing guests. I'm just looking, you're answering all my questions without me asking them. So, like, your first podcast, this won't be your last podcast, I suspect. So you're starting off in India.
Yes.
Do you know how long you'll be there for?
Not sure. Minimum 6 months. But we go to Sri Lanka and then on to Nepal. We're going to go to Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. And then we'll see where the world takes us from there. Basically, the more we travel, the more credibility we can gain, and therefore the more money that we can make and the more people we can help.
Yeah.
So those two things then, in terms of generating income, how does that work? Are you going to be collaborating with brands or?
Yes, there's going to be a certain amount of collaboration with brands. Do you know, the first time I ever tried to do this, I had the right idea, but I was making blogs, and then I was a bit late to the game on that. No one reads anymore, and so that went right down the Swanee. But she sort of said, "No, you do it like this." So we're going to do collaboration with brands. I suspect our stuff will be quite successful, so I would imagine we'll get ad revenue as well. But also, you need different skill sets for different countries. So I'm going to make a short course that we'll sell for a little bit of money on India, because a lot of people want to go. They want to give it a bash. That's one of the reasons why I'm tackling it first, is because the traffic of people who want to go there, who search how to travel in India, is so high.
Yeah.
So I want to meet those needs. And so we're going to be selling a short course of the skills necessary. And you can get the information from other people, but you're not going to meet so many other people that spent so many years traveling around there.
And then we thought, in the future to develop another concept where we can take people with us, like a small group of people with us and teach them how to do it, you know. But that's going to be like way in the future.
Far in the future. Yeah. Because it's a very interesting market. Okay, so I got, when I was doing my blog, one lady from America. She offered me 1/3 of my annual income to take her and her daughter to India for, I think, 2 weeks. And that's what they wanted. And she said to me, there is a lot of people in that space, which is the higher end of, say, the top 9% of earners, that are more than happy to have somebody with experience hold their hand and take them. So that's also a concept that we're aiming at. I would say also recommendations, but affiliate marketing as well. So with affiliate marketing, the thing is about that, I will only recommend products that I genuinely recommend. I think that's a very important thing to build up trust with an audience. Like, for example, I've tried many major brands, and I would say my favorite is Decathlon for outdoor equipment. It's cheap and very durable. Like I wore a pair of their shoes for 1 year across the deserts, across jungles, across trekking in the mountains, and they were still alive afterwards. Whereas I bought some top-end designer brands and they were destroyed in a couple of months. So I recommend that. I really want to build a relationship with the Decathlon, and because I strongly recommend their products. So also there's that. Yeah. So there's quite a few ideas for streams of income.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Decathlon, if you're listening, come on.
Yes, if you're listening, come and make a deal with me. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few affiliates that we would like to set up.
Yeah.
To make it all, but there's a potential for 7 or 8 streams of revenue on the back of helping people. So it's quite good.
And so, Jennifer, when you talked about taking people with you, you mean literally, kind of literally group all together. Okay.
Yeah, like groups of like 6 to 8. We think smaller is better because you get a different experience rather than having 20 to 30.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think it's all about the experience of travel. And in order to, for us to get what we've learned across, they have to be small groups.
Yeah. And I can show people stuff that they would find very difficult to see themselves. And also some of the content that we're creating are very, I'm going to say clickbaity, but it's also a side to show people this side of the planet that they might not necessarily know. Like we're going trekking for tigers in the jungle on foot, but it's not just that. I want to see what it's like for the people who live in the villages inside the forest. What's it like having a rhinoceros or an elephant or a tiger for a neighbor? I want to see how they cope and what's life like. We're going to meet some cannibals, and in the northeast of India, we're going to meet some former headhunted tribes. And so I want to cover how is the integration for them into the modern world, which is very clunky. I want to showcase this stuff, some very unusual wildlife that is there and not really very covered. So I want to push these things and show people this beautiful side of the world and hopefully make them a little bit happier or entertained on the back of watching it.
Yeah, it's certainly an educational aspect as well. I mean, Gary, you mentioned before that you've already had access to a lot of places and perhaps even people that most of us haven't seen. I've got a question prepared here. In terms of telling these stories respectfully, when you're perhaps even with vulnerable communities, how are you going to go about that?
It depends what you mean by vulnerable communities, because I think each case will be individual. Some people really want it. There's one tribe of people called the Dusun tribe. They live in Kalimantan, which is Indonesian Borneo, and they would very much appreciate the exposure. the Indonesian government wanted to fell the rainforest to plant their palm oil, which obviously we consume in this country very heavily. And the Dusun tribe wasn't having any of it, and they fought the oil companies, and many of them died in battle to protect their jungle. And then eventually the Indonesian government, they granted them access to their forest, and it was not felled. So they're literally the custodians of this primary Neolithic looking jungle, and it wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them. And they now base their livelihood of slash and burn agriculture, but also of tourism. So and it's way off the beaten path, but if I can give them a little push in any way, then that's a good thing. I mean, I'm trying to think of a community that wouldn't appreciate, maybe the headhunters of Nagaland, former headhunters of Nagaland. They wouldn't. I'm not sure. I'll find out when I get there. But I think it's a very sensitive thing. I'm always going to be respectful and try my best to be able to tell the stories in a dignified way. Yeah. And if somebody ever said don't film, no, I wouldn't.
Of course you wouldn't, yeah. And
yeah,
with the experience that you already have, it's obvious that you're going to approach it with respect and sensitivity. But would you encourage anybody watching to just dive in themselves, or?
Well, yes, we do accompanying blogs for everything. For example, go and visit the Dusun people, knock yourself out. They're going to love the tourism. Or, in the north of India, when we go trekking in the Spiti Valleys and in Ladakh, it's the high Himalayas, it's the Buddhist lands. And there are no hotels in these villages. You sleep in people's homes is very orderly. So the head of the village says, okay, it's your turn this time, your turn this time, your turn this time. And people come and sleep in the villages, and you pay the homeowner for a night's sleep, for the water, for the food, and then your packed lunch in the morning for when you're trekking in the mountains to the next village. Now, obviously, if you live up there, you want more exposure because you want more. Tourism can be a positive thing.
Yeah.
I've seen many examples where tourism is not a good thing, particularly in Thailand. It's definitely been, but I think you can teach people to do things respectfully. And also the audience, I think, that will be watching us and take it on themselves to come to these places would probably be they'd probably be an older demographic, I would imagine. So therefore, you'd get less of that party culture. I've seen some absolutely appalling behaviour of tourists, and and I'm sorry, sometimes it makes me ashamed to be British when I watch British people abroad. An example of that was in Malaysia, and there was this one British lady, and a guy was trying to help her, and she said to him, "Understand, I'm rich, you're poor. You do what I say."
Oh,
I thought, what did you say? And then we was in Malaysia, and then started attacking him because he was Muslim, and I just thought, what? But this sort of people who go to these sort of places, these party islands, they're highly unlikely to get a plane to Eastern Borneo.
Yeah,
they're probably gonna be more responsible and have better ideas in their head. There's
because we, in when I tell people that I'm going to India, especially in my old workplace, they all said, "Oh, and some of them were from India themselves, and they said, "Oh, you've got to be really careful as a woman," and kind of just give me states of not unrest, but it has to be extra vigilant, basically. We both said it's really important that we do a video of me to say, what's it like to travel in India as a woman? What's my experience of that? To showcase that to, the women in general, to say, is it safe? Is it what, how am I finding it?
Yeah.
There's ways and means to do things respectfully, where you can you can encourage people to be respectful, and I think we would attract more thoughtful people. Because a lot of the places where we go, you're not going there to get laid and drink.
Yeah.
That's not going to help you.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not covering the big tourist destinations like Thailand or Bali.
Yeah, so I'm getting from what you're saying that your ideal viewer is somebody who's open-minded, who's respectful, who wants to discover something authentic. And I think that's interesting, just hearing you say, Gary, that yes, you will be sleeping perhaps in the house of a villager, and that's not something to be afraid of. It's just a matter of getting the information and knowing that that's how things work. Because I think traditionally, in certain countries that people are hesitant to go to, the answer may seem to be a five-star hotel. If I'm in a five-star hotel, then I'm looked after. But there's no way you're going to get those authentic experiences if that's the route that you take. You know, we're getting back to the kind of money-making agencies who are only going to show you a certain snapshot of what's available, really.
Oh, yes. I mean, what I've noticed is if you go to a five-star hotel in Barbados and you go to a five-star hotel in England, I mean, you're going to be most people who do this, they go for spending all their time in the hotel and just travel. I mean, you've missed everything. The closest you've got to meeting the culture is the taxi driver.
Yeah.
And I mean, lots of my friends at work, they do this. They say, "Oh, I work so hard, I just want to go and switch off and sit by a pool," and that's cool. We're not appealing to those people. You know, who are we to say what another person wants? Everyone's free to do whatever it is that they want to do with their precious spare time and money. But for the people who want to see something or be part of something or experience something that other people might not be able to, then we appeal to you.
Okay, so a few quick fire questions now. Which platforms are you prioritizing in terms of sharing your content?
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
And LinkedIn.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And for those who are following your journey, what are the kind of comments that you'd like to see on these platforms? How would you like to engage with your audience?
Whatever's authentic to them. I mean, if somebody doesn't like our work or they feel like I've done anything wrong, go nuts. I mean, another person's opinion is no less valid than mine. And also, if people like what we're doing and they want to see more of something, just tell us. I mean, we want to provide the kind of content that people want to watch.
And also, if people have questions on how we did it as well, we're really keen on sharing that as well, because when we write the blogs on our website about the Thames, for example, we highlight where we stayed, but we also highlight if you want something a bit more upmarket, where to stay, you know. But we were able to kind of, there was one place in particular in Goring and Streatley, is that right?
Yes.
Goring and Streatley, where we went for a little hike and we went to this pub and we stayed in this like little bungalow. Amazing pub, an amazing owner, and really passionate about making it different, you know, and welcoming for others. And a beautiful part of the world. And that I loved it so much that I had to write a Google review. I just think for us, it's all about, if people have questions to say, how did you do it? Can I ask you a question about that may not be on the blog or on a video that we've covered? Then we like people to ask us directly and say, how do I do that?
For me, I don't care what people write as long as they mean it and it's authentic.
Yeah, that it's genuine. Yeah, absolutely. Because that is the whole point of the project, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll try and build a community of people who enjoy our work and maybe want to go and do this sort of thing themselves.
Yeah. Okay, one last clickbaity session now. Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions. So one or the other kind of
Okay,
question.
cool.
So if you can both try to answer at the same time, we'll see how we are. Okay.
We need a buzzer.
Yeah, I should have thought of that.
Okay.
Okay, so sunrise or nightlife?
Sunrise.
Nightlife, sorry.
Oh, You have to compromise on that.
I'm more of a nighttime. I feel more alert
Yeah.
at night, and I think early mornings is just
At least there's going to be content filmed from both sides, you know,
Balance.
all the richer for it. Okay,
Yeah.
luxury hotel or homestay?
homestay.
Yeah.
Street food or fine dining?
All street
Street
food.
food. Yeah.
Even from you, Gary. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I can make all the fine dining stuff. You know, a lot of the street food that you get across the world is something unique that I can't make.
And it's from the heart, you know. It's from
Yeah. I mean, if you go to Vietnam, say, and you find somebody that's making pho po, which is like the noodle soup, their national dish, and some people spend their whole lives just making the noodle soups, and they make it to perfection. The odds of me being able to make it like that is very small, very small. So it's just street food.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. In Thailand, there tended to be restaurants just for one dish, and they just did it amazingly. So, you know, if you wanted a pad Thai, we're going to that restaurant today. If you want a curry, it's a different restaurant a different day. And they just perfected it because that's all they did every single day. So yeah.
Yeah, fine dining is just something I've done for a very long time. So it doesn't excite me at all. And also, I'm sorry to anybody who eats out in these places, but I know how much stuff costs.
The margin.
The margins are insane.
Oh, but it's a pretty privileged position you're in, Gary. You know, fine dining, I can just do it myself. So, you know, that's not bad. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I just feel sorry for Jen because I really enjoy being a chef.
Yeah.
And now I'm not one cooking food. So
You have to see how things develop as the
yes. Work in progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, last two. Plan everything or wing it?
Plan everything. I plan everything. I miss nothing. And Jen is not so good at planning. But when things go wrong, my brain sort of is not good because my brain sort of says, hold on a minute, that's not according to the plan. Whereas she can jump in and just fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a nice situation there. You're great at thinking on your feet.
Yes.
Fantastic. Possibly because you've given yourself that freedom to not be too obsessed about the details from day to day. And then that energy is there for a crisis. So yeah.
Yes.
That's another good balance. Okay, and last one, mountains or ocean?
I say ocean.
Mountains.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Both will be covered, I'm sure, in your
Yes.
Yes, they are both going to be covered.
So in 5 years' time, when your series has become mega famous and everybody's talking about it, if Netflix were to do a series on you, who would play you, Jennifer, and who would play you, Gary?
Oh,
I don't know.
That's a really good question.
I don't watch enough television to know. I'm sorry, I don't watch enough.
So it's interesting you say that. I mean, I don't know who you'd answer, but most people compare him to, his nickname is Crocodile Dundee.
It's weird.
I can see it.
Or one that he doesn't particularly like, but he gets told a lot, Bear Grylls.
I didn't know who Bear Grylls was, and people see how I travel abroad, and people were saying, "Oh, you're like Bear Grylls," and then I thought, "Who is this dude?" and then I had a look. He's a hazard to wildlife. You see him, and he's just walking past. You can eat this octopus raw. Like you can also cook it. Yeah, it's just you don't have to. I just thought I'm nothing like this dude. But I find Crocodile Dundee. I find adoring because both her workplaces have called me that, like MasterCard and E2E.
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, I don't mind that one because I quite like
something in it. Then if they both,
I quite like the movies. I quite love seeing those movies.
It's quite interesting, right? Because like he when he was telling me his story when I first met him, what inspired him to travel was Indiana Jones.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Yes, it's true. When I was a kid, I thought that's what archaeologists did when I was like 5. And I was watching Indiana Jones and I thought, that's the job for me. But then I got older and I discovered what they really do. There's not as cool.
No.
Yeah, but in terms of going back to your question, I think for me, I don't know. So it's a really mixed background. So born in Venezuela, half English, half Venezuelan, and then came to England when I was 5, 6. And interestingly, so grandfather black, you wouldn't know because my dad's genes were too strong. And so, and then like Latin American grandmother, and I remember her saying to me, 13 generations before we were Amazon Indian tribes in the Amazon. And I just think, oh my God, first language Spanish, but you wouldn't know because I sound English. But the sense of, I don't know, I think someone in terms of actors, maybe, no, I can't, I can't think of anyone that would think, because it's kind of creative.
I don't watch enough television to be able to weigh in.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone particularly famous at the moment.
Jennifer, I think you're going to have to star as yourself. That's just
I
the
think
only
so.
solution, really.
Star as myself.
I think there's only one.
Exactly.
There's only one.
Yeah, like Highlander.
Okay, so just to recap, where can people find you online? What's the name of the site?
So the Earth Explorer Pro. We're on YouTube with a whole 1 episode at the moment.
Yeah.
And we only put that one on there so our friends could follow us. We're not ready yet, but we're obviously going to be growing. We've got a lot to do as we go. But you can find us primarily for me on YouTube, but you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. This is more her domain.
Yeah, and then we're doing stuff on LinkedIn as well. So we just thought we kind of, because that's a market that we really want to also tap into.
This is entirely her domain. I'm a chef by trade, so like you can B2B's not really.
So to tell that story of what's it like getting from the chefing world to the startup. But I think we live in a world now where so many of us don't have one career for the rest of our lives. We have to chop and change, and we're so multifaceted. And as we move with the times,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, I will add, and this will be very interesting for your viewers, I believe, is the chef industry is in an enormous amount of trouble. So, Michelin restaurants are closing all over the country. And even huge players like the Gavroche have closed because it's obviously a very labour-heavy industry. So that means the labour costs, the overheads in general are just enormous. Also with the AI automation of many, many jobs. I already know people that lost their jobs from AI automation. And of course, those white collar jobs, they're the people coming primarily in the doors of these high-end restaurants. So alarm bells have been flashing for a long time to get out, because the conditions in the hospitality industry are becoming increasingly more oppressive, because it's the only business model that works.
But we also thought, because we watched a lot of documentaries and speakers talk about AI and what's going to happen in the future. So that's when the pinnacle happened 2 years ago, when we both said, I think we have to reskill ourselves because we know what's coming. And also, some people use AI to plan their travel. But one thing that we do differently is that we bring the human element of it, because AI can't do that.
Oh yeah, AI is not going to be able to do what we're doing anytime soon, which is handy. Because there's not a lot of stock footage to draw from a lot of places that we go. Yeah, so this is something it's something I felt like I had to do. I had to get out the chef industry, because I can just see it as a broad whole. The high-end chef industry that caters to high-end fine dining is collapsing.
Is that a worldwide issue or UK specific?
I don't know enough about how it is across the world in other areas, in other countries. Sexy Fish has a store in both Miami and Dubai, and I think they're doing quite well. But people have increasingly less expendable cash. you put that on top of the rising overheads and the government's introduction of this increase of NI and everything else that comes with it these days, plus the automation of so many jobs. Like I said, I personally know a number of people who've lost their jobs to AI automation. So it's not something that is doom mongering or people are guessing. I mean, it's absolutely, and these are the people who can afford to pay to come to these places and eat. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. It's not a sustainable industry in the long term.
It's nice that the two of you have managed to find now a project that is in line with your interests that you've had for a long time already, but that is going to really benefit from the skills and experiences that you've got to deliver something genuinely authentic and human, as you say, that AI just simply cannot do. And I think the AI conversation, more and more, it's becoming clear that genuine kind of human experiences are going to be kind of premium experiences.
Oh yeah. So before I go, I don't know if you want to add this. So I gave my website. We've got a website, which is healthexplorerflow.com. I forgot to mention that. I gave my website to my colleagues who work in the office, right? And they thought I was just getting them to check the website. And I wanted to see what pages do they go onto. They went straight onto about the authors, which just goes to show, and 100% of them did that. 100% went to the homepage straight onto about the authors. So it just goes to show that people are trying to build relationships with people, because that human connection, this is the valuable part of it. And I think it's where a lot of businesses are going to go wrong when they try and digitize this personal experience. It's not going to pan out for you, because that's what's valuable. And I think that's apparent.
Really,
I think the human element.
Yeah. It's not just about the service, it's not just about the product, it's about the people behind it and how they've arrived at that product or service.
I can see it also happening in corporates, that in the future skills like emotional intelligence will be highly sought after, because you will need that in the environments that's gonna happen within corporates. I think that at some point they're going to scale down heavily, but they are going to need people with personal skills. I think, firsthand I saw within the finance industry that there's lots of mental health issues there, but there needs to be a lot of work within also how leaders cope, and they need assistance from the emotional level as well. From my 10 years within the industry, but I can see it heavily shifting.
And the new face of business, as far as I can see, does not make sense to people who've been in business a very long time. Like, for example, take yourself. You're making a podcast because you know that content is going to be able to drive you a long way. And it's so foreign to a lot of people. Like, because I work as a chef, many of the people who work in the hospitality industry look at our website and look at our YouTube page and they think, how are you going to make money? And the concept of building a brand of where you get trust and authority was so foreign explaining to people. And I think, because when I was a little boy, for me, if I decided to sell a cupcake, I would have to physically post pictures up, or pay for space in the local newspaper, or if I'm really innovative, hand out tastings outside my little cupcake shop. But that's not how people do anymore, and it's so different.
Yeah, it is different. And I think, I don't know, I wonder if, I'm not talking too much about age, but kind of exennials, millennials, that we are potentially. We've seen that kind of old-fashioned world. We remember it. We were old enough to remember it and to know the processes that you'd have to go through to even get a chance at advertising something. And I feel like for us, it's all the more inspiring to be able to essentially build something, build a body of work, something. My husband has a project that he's working on too. And, it's a slog sometimes creating all this content and editing and, trying to make things look appealing. But it's all about creating that body of work, and like you said, Gary, then perhaps you get the chance to be an authority on something. But you have to just
Yeah.
enjoy that creative process and be passionate enough about it to persist. But I personally am thrilled that it's possible in such an independent way. Because back in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
day, you'd need an advertising agency on site. You need, to get your foot in the door to talk to somebody in the first place, which would have been difficult. So at least it's possible to be independent and use those skills. But you have to be creative. You have to be enthusiastic about what you're doing. Otherwise,
I think also like it's really important that we're both really passionate about nature, but it's also about us leaving a mark on the planet to say, long way after we're gone, our content's going to be on YouTube, and they're going to look back on it and go, "Do you remember this looked like this?" And so we know that we've done something good, towards the world, because the world's changing so much. But as much as we're building and we're, sadly destroying nature, Mother Nature will always win, long past when we've gone. And I just think actually, if we can document that part of Earth now and what cultures and different wildlife, for future, we know that we've done something really good.
I mean, a lot of the things that I've seen in my life is now no longer there. I mean, even for you, I don't know how long ago you lived in Koh Samui.
we left 3.5 years ago.
Okay, I went to Koh Tao probably 20 years ago, which is the island next to it. And that was the most impressive coral I've seen yet to date. They're pieces of brain coral that almost the size of this whole room, and I hear it's completely dead. There's nothing to see anymore.
Yeah.
And I on my last trip, and we were going to go there again. There's this one particular bird sanctuary where there is something called the Caroline frogmouth. It's a kind of nightjar's bird, very interesting looking. And when I went there, the guide said there are 13 breeding pairs left in the world, and they live in this tiny little stretch of forest. And I just thought, this is very unlikely to thrive in the future. And I want to show people this stuff because we are unfortunately, undeniably destroying the planet that we live on. I mean, based on what I've seen in my own lifetime. It's
illegal to plant trees because you can get arrested for it.
It's the best kind of crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane that to do something so positive and beautiful and natural is a crime. I think that shows how upside down everything is, really.
How dare you plant trees?
Exactly.
What?
But you can get caught burgling up to 3 times before it goes to court. So yeah.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect. What a logical world we live in.
What are you inside for? Planting a tree.
I have to put you with the hard criminals. Well, it's been so lovely speaking to you both. I'm super excited to follow your journey and to start off as well with your series about the Thames. I'll definitely be going on that too. So fantastic. And maybe we'll have you back. Mary. Maybe we'll have you back.
Thank you.
Once you're well and truly into the project to tell us more about how it's going. It's been really good to chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. If we could do anything for you as well, we'd love to.
That's so kind. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
But
we'll definitely keep in touch.
Give us a few months to build.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You've already, the fact that you're talking today is just, a miracle. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's so nice and lovely to catch up after all these years, Jennifer. Wow.
Yes.
Really good.
And it's been a pleasure to meet you, Mary, honestly.
Yeah, it has. It's been really good.
Yeah.
Well, keep in touch. We'll keep in touch. I'll be following your steps. Okay. Take care. Bon voyage. Okay.
Bye,
Bye, Mary.
Remote work enables location-independent lifestyles, but only if you build the right skills. Jennifer and Gary didn't just decide to travel, they retrained and built digital skills such as content creation, SEO and branding to make their travel sustainable. Remote freedom isn't automatic, you have to engineer it. Travel becomes cheaper and richer when you remove intermediaries. many people overpay due to fear or lack of knowledge. We saw the importance of stretching both time and money by learning how to travel independently. This is especially powerful for digital nomads, long-term travellers, and really anybody working remotely with location flexibility. The real value of travel isn't escape, but perspective and human connection. Remote work and travel isn't just about lifestyle, it's about access to deeper human experiences. So, if you're even remotely interested in remote working, I'll see you next time.